The Hardy Boys Casefiles was the first Hardy Boys series that appeared after Simon & Schuster purchased the crime-fighting duo in 1984. The first book is dead on target. It begins with Frank and Joe getting dragged to a political rally at the mall. Joe starts flirting with a random girl, which upsets his girlfriend, Iola. She marches back to the car in a huff, and she dies instantly when the car explodes. What? They killed Iola in the first chapter? Jeez! I know they wanted to change things up with the new series, but what did she do to deserve instant death? I don't know, maybe Iola is an incredibly unpopular character, because most Hardy Boys fans give this book a perfect 10 out of 10 for killing her. That's a really morbid reason for liking a book. At Iola's funeral, the Hardys meet a mystery man named Mr. Gray. For a second, I thought the book was talking about me, but then I remembered I looked like this when the book came out. The Hardys meet Detective Butler, who is in charge of investigating Iola's death. Butler is an angry grump, and he doesn't even break a smile when Joe makes a Kojak joke. Sorry, Joe. Not everyone appreciates references to TV shows that were canceled 36 years ago. If you want to make jokes about that year, go with the Bob Newhart show next time. Anyway, Detective Butler orders the Hardys off the case, but he's a jerk, so Frank and Joe ignore him and start investigating in the mall. They're attacked by villains with knockout darts, but Mr. Gray pulls up in a limo just in time to save them. As they drive off, Mr. Gray reveals that he is actually the Gray Man. He works for the Network, a top-secret government agency that is currently fighting a terrorist group known as the Assassins. The Assassins blew up Joe's car, either because they're trying to scare Mr. Hardy, or because they really hate that particular car model. After a car chase and a shootout, Frank magically becomes an expert computer hacker. He breaks into the airport systems, and he books them seats on the Gray Man's flight to London. At the airport, Joe is fascinated when airport security frisks an elderly woman. Either Joe is stranger than I first suspected, or airport security invading the privacy of innocent citizens was not an everyday occurrence in the 1980s. Wait, scratch that. Joe is interested in the old woman because she is plotting to hijack the plane. The Hardys and the Gray Man easily defeat the hijackers, and they learn that the assassin behind the current plot is Al-Rusasa. The Gray Man orders Frank and Joe to wait in an office for a while, but like I said earlier, they hate safety. The Hardy brothers break out of the office and join a police raid. Frank saves the Gray Man from a bomb, and afterwards, the British Gray Man sends them home. Frank and Joe realize that Al-Rusasa wasn't trying to kill Iola. His target was the presidential candidate at the political rally. Good deduction, Hardys, but I'm going to be a little critical here and say you should have figured that out 40 pages ago. I mean, seriously, it's not that hard to deduce that the political bombing was politically motivated. The Hardy Boys have no luck with the police because they don't have any proof, and because Detective Butler is a jerk. There's another car chase, and Frank's girlfriend, Callie Shaw, saves everyone with her magical girl power. Hardys decide to grab a bunch of dart guns, and they break into the mall with Callie, with Yola's older brother Chet, and Tony, the pizza guy. You always want a pizza guy around when confronting terrorists, you know, in case someone gets hungry. Hey, Chet, stop buying that pizza. That is my pizza. It all goes down at Macy's, which is number 5 on the list of places that you don't expect to have a shootout with a terrorist. Our heroes chase the villain all the way to Sub-Basement 3, where it is revealed that Detective Butler is secretly Al-Rusasa. Ah, so he's the terrorist. That explains why he didn't like the Kojak joke earlier. Or he just didn't think it was funny. Yeah, Joe, you can't go around accusing people of being terrorists just because they don't like your jokes. That's just not how it works, Mr. Hardy. Al-Rusasa ties everyone up with wires, and he sets off a time bomb in the ceiling. Callie gets out of the wires by using her magical girl power. Remember how Frank magically became a computer hacker earlier? Now he magically becomes a bomb expert. Gee, I wish I could skip years of training and do whatever jobs I wanted. Our heroes get back to the mall just in time for the big political rally. They split up to find Al-Rusasa, and naturally, Frank and Joe are the ones who find him. There's a big fight on the 3rd floor of the mall, and Al-Rusasa doesn't want to be taken alive, so he purposely falls to his death. The book ends with a phone call from the Gray Man. He thanks the Hardys for their work, and he says that they might see him again someday. In this case, someday means the next book. The end. Post-book follow-up. As I said earlier, most people give this book a perfect score because Iola dies on the first page. It's a dramatic and shocking way to set the tone for the rest of the series. This isn't your grandpa's Hardy Boys where the criminals never carry guns. This is 1980s Hardy Boys where people die. But really, that's not true. No matter how dangerous the situation is, the Hardy Boys and their friends are always going to survive uninjured. They can't get seriously hurt because they have plot armor. So really, Iola was sacrificed to create a false sense of danger. Was her death worth it? When you look at the series as a whole, her death is more of a book-selling gimmick than anything else. When you look at this book by itself, Iola's death has more meaning in terms of plot, tone, and character motivation. Things get weird when Iola returns to life in book 4, but I'll deal with that when I get there. I think this book is a good attempt at trying something new with the Hardy Boys. The book definitely has its flaws, like Frank suddenly becoming an expert computer hacker and bomb disarmer with no advance warning whatsoever. I would also criticize the 40-page adventure in London as being filler. It was definitely exciting, maybe even more exciting than the rest of the book. But it wasn't essential to the plot, and the Hardys could have solved the case without it. I'm going to review the first 4 books in the Casefiles series in a group, since they were designed to go together. At least that's the impression I got from the advertisements at the end of Nancy Drew Files number 9. That book was pretty bad, so I'm not going to trust it very much. Either way, stay tuned for my reviews of Casefiles 2 through 4. In the meantime, I'm giving Hardy Boys Casefiles number 1, Dead on Target, a 7 out of 10.